want to talk to you primarily about the imminence of the Israeli and United States attack on Iran. But before we do, what is your take, Colonel, on the Donald Trump, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, Tony Blair Gaza agreement?
First take is it's a ceasefire agreement, not a peace agreement. They've been very clouded over that, but that's what it is. Second comment is that Bibi Netanyahu has never met a ceasefire agreement he's kept. Third comment is he told Smotrich and Ben Gvir, and there's a subheadline in Haaretz today on this, that everything was copacetic. They could rest assured everything was going to continue, and they agreed to stay in the government. Translate that to, I am not going to honor much of this, and I'm going to continue really on my basic path. And you don't need to worry because you know we're going to war with Iran. That's the kicker. And when we go with Iran, war with Iran, everything else is obviated.
And what will the man who's campaigning for the Nobel Peace Prize do about that, since he's a personal guarantor on the so-called ceasefire, hostage exchange path towards statehood?
I don't know how Netanyahu is going to craft this. I would suspect that he's going to do something that would look like Iran started it. But in any event, he's going to war with Iran. And that's going to obviate everything Trump is looking for, especially, now he could make this different, but I don't think he will. Steve Bannon seems to think he might make it different. I don't think so, because he will go in. He'll have to go in because Israel will be collapsing.
How imminent, Colonel, in your view, is the Israeli-U.S. attack on Iran? Now, you're familiar with the accumulation of American hardware out there.
I think it's, as I've said before, I think it's between now and Thanksgiving, and it may be even quicker given that Netanyahu has to move pretty fast because he doesn't want this deal, so to speak, to come to any more fruition than is necessary.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, he's got to keep his coalition together, and he's got to keep the people who are the most strident in that coalition with him all along. So he can't postpone the war that long and let other dynamics begin to develop, like, for example, positive develops that might accrue to the ceasefire. I don't know how he'll do that, but go to war with Iran, and that means probably sooner rather than later.
So Donald Trump flies to Cairo, ostentatiously signs some kind of an agreement. Netanyahu violates the agreement but persuades Trump to join him in an invasion of Iran, and everybody forgets about the agreement while the Iran-Israeli war is going on.
Absolutely. That's been his plan all along. I think
Wow.
he's suffered a few setbacks here and there, but I think basically that's been his plan all along. His ultimate, not necessarily that he was going to war with Iran, but it was his ultimate get out of jail free card, and he's now been forced to use it.
On the agreement itself, our longtime mutual friend, Scott Ritter, is of the view that it significantly favors Hamas, that they stay there, they can participate in the new government, and the IDF leaves.
It all depends. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Hamas seems to have gotten its objectives, but that means that a second state is going to be formed, and that ain't going to happen, not on Netanyahu's watch, and probably not on any other Israeli prime minister who might replace him's watch or American president. So what they're looking at is all of this being down the tube, so to speak, when the war with Iran starts, and everyone's attention, Judge, will shift majorly to that, and they will forget what's happened in Gaza, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, Syria, Lebanon, and everywhere else, because this is going to be region-wide.
What happens in Gaza and to Gaza when the Iranian missiles pierce the Israeli defenses?
The Iranians have shown that they are very good at directing their missiles, even in such a constrained territory as is Israel, to the right targets, and they will do that. And that will make the attacks even more devastating because the missiles will be concentrated on key targets.
Wow. There are reports that on October 7th, and knowing him, he probably chose this day intentionally, Prime Minister Netanyahu called President Putin and tried to get him to cancel the not yet complied with deals for missiles and other defensive weaponry that Russia is selling to Iran. I mean, how do you think Putin would have reacted to such a brazen request? I mean, this is off the wall.
That's Bibi. That's Bibi. He's losing it incrementally. I wish he were losing it a lot faster. I think one of the things that's truly blown him away is what's happened with the Charlie Kirk assassination and that group, Talking Points, or what is it, Turning Point USA. And he's losing it all across America with regard to those under 40 and particularly those under 30. So he's not the same old Bibi right now. I think he's on path to war with Iran, but he's definitely not the same shrewd, lying sack of proverbial horse crop that he's been all along. You look at him in pictures now, he's harassed.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's funny you should say that. My initial reaction, I told Chris Leonard, from watching Bibi at the UN, I watched him from here, even though I'm just 2 blocks from the UN. He didn't seem his confident self. He seemed irritated, tired, and exhausted. Now, he was humiliated because there was nobody in that audience except for Americans and Israelis and technicians and security guards. There was literally nobody else there. But he was not his usual oratorical, persuasive self.
I agree. I watched that tape. The cheering squad of the Israelis was the only positive thing he had in the audience.
Right.